everyone, for today's video I'm going to be doing a full face of Pure Cosmetics. Pure is a more high-end brand. They are cruelty-free and clean. Pure Cosmetics is also sold in Ulta, which is how I'm familiar with it, but I feel like a lot of people are probably very familiar with Pure after the Raw Beauty Kristi and Pure Cosmetics collab with the duo palette that they launched. I also feel like Pure Cosmetics got on a lot of people's radar after they released their 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie foundation with 100 shades. That was a lot of shades. Pure Cosmetics a few months ago had reached out to me asking if I wanted to be put on their PR list, and I asked them in return if they would send me things for a full face video. And I'm really excited to get into today's video because I've been really enjoying a lot of the products that they sent me. So I don't actually own a primer from Pure Cosmetics that I really like. This one from Pure is the 4-in-1 Correcting Primer. This one is for redness reducing. I feel like if you are very fair in complexion with a lot of redness, this primer would be great for you. But I don't deal with a lot of redness, and because of my complexion, this makes my face like ghostly, and it really affects the way that my foundation looks on top of it. Like my foundation or tinted moisturizer ends up looking a shade or two lighter than my skin tone because of this primer. So I definitely don't think that this primer was made for me. I do think that a lot of people would like this, but if you have like a medium or deeper complexion and you deal with redness, I don't think that this one would be great unless you're willing to maybe pick up a foundation that is like a shade deeper to counteract the lightness of this. For complexion products, I have the Pure 4-in-1 Tinted Moisturizer, and then I also have the Pure 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie Foundation. Really enjoy these two products separately and mixed together a lot. I really enjoy them mixed together. I think that you get the best of both worlds with there being like a long-lasting full coverage foundation, and then your very sheer but natural looking SPF natural finish tinted moisturizer. So you really get the best of both worlds when you mix these two together. I already have a recent video where I did mix these two together to kind of see how I felt about these products mixed together. I'll go ahead and leave that video linked down below. For today's video though, I am just going to be using the Pure 4-in-1 Tinted Moisturizer. I have mine in the shade MG5. The concealer that I have from Pure is pretty full coverage, so I really love pairing a tinted moisturizer with a more full coverage concealer. Here are swatches of the two complexion products though. This swatch over here is of the Love Your Selfie foundation. I have mine in the shade TG1, and then here's the tinted moisturizer in the shade MG5. The Love Your Selfie foundation from Pure is very thick, very full coverage, so if that's something that you don't particularly like, I don't think that you would like this foundation. I spent a long time really not appreciating this foundation because of how full coverage and thick it was, but it is actually very nice, very long wearing on the skin, and I do think that it would work great for a lot of different skin types, and the fact that it has 100 shades in the line is incredible. I do wonder though how helpful those 100 shades actually are when the only real store that I think you can find Pure at is Ulta, and they don't carry the full 100 shade line in person. So you would have to be looking through 100 shades of a foundation online, which is just, I don't know how you would do that. I don't know. Good luck. I'm going to go in now with the tinted moisturizer. I literally apply it straight to my face. I'll do one side with a sponge and then the other side with a brush. I do think I prefer a brush, but I guess we will see. I do think that this tinted moisturizer is a little light for me. I do have a bronzer to go in with from Pure that is a little deep, so definitely with the rest of my face on, it ends up looking totally fine and normal. But yeah, I do think it is a little bit light. Like I definitely wouldn't be able to get away with wearing this tinted moisturizer shade in the summer. But we're approaching colder months now. I'm not too worried about the shade. And overall, it's been pretty good for me. So that is one side done with the tinted moisturizer. I do think that it gave my skin a very natural light coverage. This is like a barely there coverage in my opinion. However, I do think that my skin looks very natural. I think that the finish is very natural and very skin-like. doesn't feel like I have any makeup on. I think it did a pretty good job at evening out my complexion, but I will definitely want to go in with a concealer, especially like around my nose and underneath my eyes. Let's go in now with a brush on this side. I do just think a brush is always a bit faster, so I do appreciate that about a brush. I had to take my car to the dealership to get serviced today, and I have like a little mask imprint right over here. Hopefully that goes away soon. Not really seeing too much of a difference from side to side, like coverage wise. I do think my skin looks maybe just like a touch more glowy on the side that we use the sponge with, but yeah, not tons of difference there, but that is what my skin looks like with the Pure Tinted Moisturizer. Looks pretty good in my opinion, but I definitely will want to go in and like spot conceal and do some concealer underneath my eyes. This is the Pure Cosmetics Push Up 4-in-1 Sculpting Concealer. This concealer is interesting. It has a little button that you press and it literally just shoots out the concealer. I have mine in the shade TN3 and then I also have MG5. I do definitely end up having to mix these two together in some way. Like I will use MG5 right underneath my eyes to get kind of like that brightening effect, but I will go in a bit with TN3 around my eyes still, or like kind of on my cheeks or around my nose, just to balance out the lightness of MG5. This concealer is a very thick, very full coverage concealer. So those are the places I'm putting MG5, and then I'm going to take like a little bit of TN3 around the other spots of my face. This is like my way of mixing these two products together. This is also quite a bit of concealer. I feel like I didn't really mean to put this much on. I don't really use this much concealer even when I use the tinted moisturizer. But this is an awesome concealer just worn on its own. Like you get so much coverage out of it. I do love using just concealer sometimes and no foundation. This is a perfect concealer for something like that. And now let me go in with my sponge for the rest of my face. This is a really hydrating concealer, so if you are looking for like a hydrating full coverage concealer, I feel like you'd like this one a lot. So that's the coverage and finish of the tinted moisturizer and the concealer on my skin. This has been my go-to for a few weeks now, or I will just use the concealer on its own. I've been really liking these products. I do wish I had like a perfect shade in both of them, but yeah, maybe I will discover a perfect shade in the line someday. For my powder, I am going to go ahead and set my face now because the two cheek products I have are powder products. This is the Pure Cosmetics Translucent Loose Setting Powder. I bought this because of TikTok about products that were like underrated at Ulta. And the person making the TikTok really loved this powder. They were like, it smells like cupcakes, and yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, it definitely smells yummy. I really am just going to go in with a small amount of the powder. I do think the packaging is a little annoying because who is using this? Who's using it? It's like a giant sponge. It does keep the powder like all intact, which is kind of nice, but then it makes it kind of difficult to get out of the packaging. But yeah, the powder does smell really nice. A lot of Pure's products are quite scented. Not the complexion products, which I really am appreciative of. Like if the Love Your Selfie foundation smelled like cupcakes, I would want to return it. I do not think foundations should ever have a scent. Never. But a lot of their powder items do have a scent to them, like their blush and bronzer that I'm using, it definitely has a scent to them, and even their powder eyeshadows have scents to them. This powder from Pure is great though. It's super lightweight, but it's very, very smooth. I think that it does a great job setting the skin. If you wanted to bake with it, it's very easy to bake with it. You're not going to get like clumps of powder, and it's not going to look really dry and crumbly underneath your eyes. It is overall a really nice powder, very smooth and effective. I don't have any brow products from Pure, so I just went ahead and added a bit of my NYX brow glue through my brows. I'm gonna let that sit and set before I add any brow color in them. But before I do my eyeshadow, I do want to add bronzer to my face. I'm going in with the Pure Bronzing Act. There are two bronzers in this line, and I have the dark version. I do think that I could definitely get away with doing the light version because this bronzer is pretty deep. It also smells really good, very much like that cupcakey vanilla scent. I'm going to go in with a super light hand. This bronzer is really nice. I think it goes on really smooth. I think it's a really great bronzing shade. But yeah, I do think that I definitely could get away with the lighter version of this bronzer for sure. Another thing I love about this bronzer, and just like how I know a powder bronzer is super good, is if it doubles as a really nice eyeshadow shade for me. And I love, love, love wearing this particular shade on my eyes. I think it's so pretty. I think it has like the prettiest shade to it. So that is what Bronzing Act looks like on my skin. I applied a really, really light layer of it because this bronzer is a bit dark for my skin tone. I do wish and hope that they come out with this bronzer in more shades. I feel like the collection definitely could use maybe like 2 more shades at least. To prime my eyes, I'm using the Urban Decay Primer Potion. So this is the Pure Defense Anti-Pollution Eyeshadow Palette. I don't know why we're worrying about pollution on our eyelids, but Pure is worrying about it. And this is what the Defense eyeshadow palette looks like. The palette also comes with a great size mirror. I did a look last night that mainly used these 3 shades. So I think I'm going to try and replicate that look right now. It came out really cute last night, so I want to do it again. But I've been really liking this eyeshadow palette. Like, this shade from the palette is awesome. How beautiful is that? This is like a great one and done shade. The first shade I'm going in with today is this one right here. I'm not usually drawn to shades like these, but it does create a very nice like shadow in the crease, and especially for like the types of colors that I'm using today, it definitely works. So yeah, blending it into the crease. The Pure eyeshadows are super smooth, but they're quite powdery. So definitely top off your brush before using them. I'm going to go straight in with this shade over here. It's sort of like a reddish brown, like a reddy brown. And taking it on a big fluffy brush and focusing it on the outer corner of the eye. And then we're bringing it into the crease, into the inner portion of the crease. Super pigmented shades. I really did not dip my brush in that much. I'm now going to take this sort of purpley maroon shade over here. I'm taking it on a fluffy eyeshadow brush and I'm applying it on my sort of outer corner of the lid. And I'm bringing it a little bit into like the center of the eyelid, not so much the inner corner because we're saving that for like a brighter shimmer shade. Have my little color switch over here because I'm just gonna literally flip the brush over and pick up that shade right there. I wouldn't usually use this shade by itself. It's a little too light for me, but it does work really well with this eye look and these shades. So I'm really just applying it into the inner corner. And I think I'm actually going to flip my brush over again, pick up some of that maroon, and then we're like blending the two. So we'll just sort of go back and forth with the 2 shades. And then I'm also taking that shade, dragging it into the inner corner. Mixes really well with the rest of the colors, like it's almost turned a bit purple over here. I'm actually picking up that shade on a clean eyeshadow brush because I do want like the inner corner to really be very bright. Going back in with that first shade that we used on a fluffy brush, and I'm going to run it through the crease just to brush off any shimmer that got into the crease, shape up the eye look a little bit. Getting a little bit of powder on my brush because I want to swipe away any fallout. Basically done with the eye look. Super easy but really cute. I love the shades. I am going to curl my lashes for mascara. For mascara, I have the Pure Fully Charged Mascara powered by Magnetic Technology. I don't know like if I hold this up to a magnet, if it's gonna make my lashes stick to it. I don't know like what magnets also need to do in makeup. I know that like MAC has or had those magnetic eyeshadows. I don't understand that, but this mascara has been pretty good. Definitely more of a wet formula. I don't think it's tubing. I do think that if you're not careful with this mascara and like taking your time, it is super easy for the product to get clumpy. It does, however, add a lot of volume and length and just makes the lashes look really dark. I do notice because the formula is so wet, it gets on my tight line really easily. And I'll usually go in with like a Q-tip and clean that up, but it's not like a step I love to do, you know what I mean? So those are my lashes with the fully charged mascara. I do like to go in and separate my lashes, but I am going to wait for this mascara to dry. So while I wait for this mascara to dry, I'm going to go ahead and finish up my brows, and then I'll be able to separate my lashes and also pick up, like, clean up the little mascara spot I have right there and all that. Base is cleaned up a little bit. I'm going to separate my lashes just like a little bit. I just feel like it needs it to kind of like even the lashes out a little bit and like push them up. This definitely is not my favorite mascara, especially because I've been trying a lot of really great mascaras recently. Like the Kosas one is awesome. The Rare Beauty one is awesome. Been liking the Mob Beauty one a little bit. And this one's definitely not my favorite, but I mean, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look horrible. I am going to add this shade a little bit to my lower lash line just so we can get a little bit of definition down there. I don't know why I do that. I actually prefer this eye like so much more. I'm gonna go in with this brush. Just make sure everything is diffused under there. I'm going in with a second coat up here. I kind of want more volume. So that's a mascara with a second coat, like a dried first coat and then a second coat. I think it looks pretty good. Eyes are totally complete now. For blush, I have the Blushing Act, and I have mine in the shade Pretty in Peach. Just looks like this. It's a really great shade in my opinion. I'm taking it on my blush brush. This is also pretty pigmented, powdery blush, so I'm going to try and go in with a light hand, but I do love my blush, so we'll see. Just a really pretty, healthy blush shade. I think it would look great on a lot of different people. I'm really not a highlighter person, so when I sent a list over of the products that I wanted for the full face, I did not put a highlighter on there, but I do feel like between the setting powder and then the powder, blush, and bronzer, my face does feel and look quite matte. That is just the look that we are going for today, but I do kind of wish I had a little bit of a highlighting product that I can put on my face. I think that when I set my face with like a setting spray, that all my problems will go away. I just have two more products from Pure that will complete this full face. This is the Pure On Point lip liner, and I have mine in the shade Teddy. You already know. You already know. Let me swatch Teddy for you. You already know. You already know. Looks great. I really enjoy this lip liner. It's got like a sharpening tip, so when you put the cap back on, it like automatically sharpens. I just wanted to line my lips with the lip liner. That is what On Point in Teddy looks like. A great pinky brown nude lip liner. For my lipstick, I have this Pure Tinted Lip Balm from like a CBD line that they have. I have mine in the shade Bubbly. So that is what Bubbly looks like. This is a really like slippy tinted lip balm. I don't think that the wear on it is long at all, but it is pretty comfortable on the lips. I kind of wish it was a little bit thicker and didn't feel like it was going to like slip off. feel like if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But I think it's a beautiful shade, especially paired with the lip liner, and I think that it looks really great with the full look. So this is my full face of Pure. I think that the makeup looks gorgeous. Really loving it. I did just check in my bathroom mirror really quick. I feel like my face looks really quite matte. I don't love that. Like, I don't love a real matte look. I just think that setting spray is very necessary. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray my face down with some Urban Decay All Nighter to kind of get that powdery look to go away. I think that if Pure came out with cream cheek products, then it would be like game over. Like, give me those, I'll buy them up. But I think between the setting powder and the powder bronzer and then also the powder blush, all three really together, it's just a bit much. But anyway, I'm going to spray my face down. Yeah, already it's looking better. So the time right now is 12 o'clock, but I will check in eventually throughout the day so that you guys can see what this makeup is looking like, how everything is holding up, and my final thoughts on the full face. It is 6 p.m. now, so I've had this makeup on for about 6 hours. I'm feeling like everything is looking really good. Everything is still very much in place. I am looking a lot more dewy than earlier, but even with me looking quite oily, my blush and bronzer is still very much on. My eye makeup is also looking great, and I'm not seeing any smudging underneath my eyes. I think I do have like a little bit of like a mascara flake right there. That could just be like literally a flake though. I don't think it's really smudging. And I didn't take like a long nap, but I did rest for maybe like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and everything is still looking great. I would say maybe the eyeshadow is a little bit faded, but not creasing at all. Lip obviously didn't last, but I don't know a lip that does, that isn't uncomfortable, and the lip combo is definitely very comfortable and like moisturizing. I don't think that the lip balm is my favorite per se, but the lip liner is very nice and I've been enjoying it quite a bit. I am probably going to check in a bit later as well. It will be in different lighting because, you know, in like an hour it'll be dark out, but I am going to eat dinner and then I'm going to actually stream on Twitch. So I'll be wearing this makeup for at least a few more hours and then I'll come in and give like a final check-in. It's 9 o'clock now, 3 hours since the last check-in. I'm pretty sure the makeup looks identical using artificial lighting right now, so yeah, it's gonna look a little bit different, but I think it pretty much looks exactly the same as it did at 6 p.m. I might be just like a little bit more oily. I feel like I am looking like a little, like I don't think that the makeup looks great at this point, but it doesn't look horrible either. Like it's still all there, but like I'm excited to remove it. I do feel like with a little bit of blotting, a little bit more setting powder, maybe, honestly I think that might be it. Just like a little bit of blotting, a little bit of setting powder, I could probably wear this makeup even longer if I needed to. So yeah, overall thoughts on Pure Cosmetics. I think that they make some really great high quality makeup. I think that if you're interested in more clean products, I think Pure is a good move. The Love Your Selfie foundation comes in so many shades. So if you're looking for like a full coverage foundation in a shade that matches you, you are more than likely going to find a shade in the Love Your Selfie foundation. The Pure Tinted Moisturizer has definitely been a go-to of mine. I do like to pair it with a more full coverage concealer for sure. That's why the Pure concealer does work so well with this product. But I also love that this product has an SPF of 20. It does a pretty decent job, you know, evening out the skin tone, but it still really looks like skin. Out of the powder cheek products, I definitely prefer the bronzer. I feel like the blush is very pretty, but I don't really gravitate towards powder blushes too often. That's why I said earlier that if Pure came out with a cream blush, I would be all over that. I felt like the blush kind of looked quite a bit heavy on the cheeks all day, which definitely could have been how I applied it. I definitely am heavy-handed with blush a lot of the time. But yeah, I just think like, you know, with me not really using powder too often, I felt it looked very heavy and like makeup-y. on the cheek area and I didn't love that, but the bronzer is very nice. I especially like it on the eyelids, and I think that if I could go back and get the lighter shade of the bronzer, I probably would, at least to have in my collection. The quality of these eyeshadows are great. The color story of this particular palette is not like something I would reach for all the time, but I've actually gotten quite a bit of use out of this palette since owning it, and I think that the versatility of the looks that you can create with it is pretty good. So yeah, if you're interested in a palette from Pure, I don't think this is a bad one. It's just like doesn't have all the colors I would typically go for every day. And then the setting powder. Pretty decent setting powder if you are looking for one, but setting powder, I think. A good setting powder, a dime a dozen. That is going to be it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I really hope that you found it helpful. If you aren't already subscribed, definitely go ahead and do so, and hopefully I will see you next time.